Level 1, the recruit Tyro. You are 17 years old. You live in the Suburra, the cramped, disease-ridden slums of Rome. The air in your narrow alleyway smells permanently of rotting cabbage, wood smoke, and open sewage. Your family is starving. You don't dream of glory on the battlefield. You don't care about expanding the borders of the empire, and you certainly don't care about the political maneuvering of the Senate. You only care about the sharp, twisting pain in your stomach that hasn't gone away for 3 days. You don't join the Roman war machine out of patriotism. You join because the emperor guarantees 3 meals a day and a steady paycheck. You walk into the recruitment tent set up in the dusty forum. The noise is deafening, hundreds of desperate men shouting, bargaining, and pleading for a spot in the ranks. You stand in line for hours, the hot Mediterranean sun blistering the back of your neck. Finally, you step forward. A magistrate in a crisp white tunic looks at you, not as a human being, but exactly the way a butcher examines a piece of livestock. "Citizen?" he barks, not making eye contact. "Yes," you reply, your voice cracking slightly through your dry throat. He doesn't ask for your hopes, your education, or your dreams. He forces your mouth open and checks your teeth. He violently squeezes your biceps and shoulders. He measures your height to ensure you meet the strict military minimum of 5 Roman feet and 10 inches. He checks your legs for deformities that might slow down a marching column. He grunts and nods to a clerk. You pass. They hand you a small, heavy leather pouch. Inside is your viaticum, 3 gold coins to cover your travel expenses to your assigned legion. It is more money than your father made in the last entire year. You feel a brief, intoxicating surge of hope. But before you can run home and buy bread for your starving brothers, a massive centurion steps in front of you. He holds a twisted vine staff and stares right through you with completely dead eyes. It is time for the sacramentum, the sacred military oath. You raise your right hand. You swear to unconditionally obey the emperor. You swear to never desert the army under penalty of death. You swear to execute any order given to you, even if it means your absolute destruction. You speak the words, but you don't fully understand their weight yet. You think you have just found a way to survive. You think you just saved your family from poverty. But as the centurion points you toward the staging grounds, a cold realization settles deep in your gut. You are no longer a free civilian. You are a tyro, a raw recruit. You have just sold your mind, your body, and your humanity to the Roman Empire for the next 25 years. And your descent into hell has only just begun. Level 2, the infantryman Miles. You survive 4 months of brutal, dehumanizing training. The instructors have beaten every ounce of civilian weakness out of you. You are no longer a starving boy from the slums. You are a Miles, a standard heavy infantryman. Your life is no longer your own. You are assigned to a contubernium, a tent group of 8 men. You eat the same hardtack together, you sleep in the same freezing mud together, and you march together. Your day begins long before the sun rises. You strap on your larica hamada, heavy iron chain mail, and shoulder your sarcina. This is a wooden pole carrying over 60 pounds of survival gear, rations, cooking pots, and wooden stakes. You march 20 miles through dense, hostile forests. The heavy leather straps chafe your shoulders until they bleed, but you don't dare fall out of line. When the march finally ends, you do not get to rest. For the next 4 hours, your exhausted muscles swing an iron pickaxe into the rocky earth, digging a defensive trench and building a fortified wooden wall around your camp. You do this every single day. You realize the empire isn't expanding through glory, it is expanding on the broken backs of men like you. Then comes your first real taste of combat against rebellious Germanic tribes. You don't fight like a heroic gladiator seeking personal glory. The Roman war machine does not reward individuals, it demands absolute conformity. You are simply a cog in a ruthless, mechanical meat grinder. You stand shoulder to shoulder with your brothers, raising your massive, curved rectangular shield, the scutum, to form an unbreakable wooden wall. The noise is terrifying. Thousands of enemy warriors scream as they crash into your line. The physical impact knocks the breath from your lungs. The man to your left, a boy you shared rations with yesterday, is stabbed through the neck. Blood sprays across your face, hot and metallic. You don't panic. Training takes over. You push forward with your shield and thrust your gladius, a short, lethally sharp sword, in quick, brutal, 2-inch stabs directly into the unarmored stomachs of the enemy. You step forward, your hobnailed sandals slipping on the blood-soaked mud, trampling over the bodies of the men you just killed. When the slaughter finally ends, you return to your tent. The cot next to you is empty. You do not cry. You do not mourn. Instead, you reach into your dead friend's pack and take his leftover grain rations. As you chew the dry bread in the dark, you realize that in the Roman army, survival is the only victory, and hunger is a much stronger instinct than grief. Level 3, the specialist, immunes. 5 years pass. You have survived campaigns in Gaul that wiped out half your cohort. But your body is already breaking down. Your back constantly aches from carrying the heavy sarcina, and your joints pop with every step. You realize that if you stay a standard Miles, the Roman war machine will simply work you to death in the mud. You are smarter than the average farm boy, so you look for a way out. You apply for a specialty, pass the evaluations, and are promoted to the rank of immunes. The title literally means immune. Because you possess a valuable skill, you are officially exempt from the grueling manual labor of digging ditches, chopping wood, and standing night watch. You trade your heavy iron pickaxe for a leather satchel filled with bronze forceps, linen bandages, and tourniquets. You are now a capsarius, a combat medic. You think you have finally beaten the system. You think this promotion will save you from the horror. But the Roman Empire does not give favors without extracting a heavier price. Escaping the physical exhaustion only pulls you into a concentrated psychological hell. Your new battlefield is the medical tent. There is no sterile environment, and there is no anesthesia. The air inside is suffocating, smelling violently of sour wine, strong vinegar, voided bowels, and rotting flesh. During a massive siege, the casualties pour in faster than you can process them. A young legionary is carried in, his leg completely crushed by a falling siege ladder. He is a hardened veteran, but right now, he is weeping for his mother. "Hold him steady!" the chief surgeon barks. You don't hesitate. You press your entire body weight onto the man's chest, pinning his shoulders against the blood-slicked wooden table. You shove a thick piece of rolled leather between his lips. "Bite down!" you tell him, your voice completely flat and devoid of emotion. You hold him down while the surgeon uses a fine-toothed bronze saw to hack through his shattered femur. But the worst part is the bleeding. To stop it, you pull a cauterizing iron from a blazing coal brazier. It glows a furious cherry red. As the surgeon presses the hot iron directly against the open stump, the sickening smell of searing pork fills the tent. The soldier arches his back with supernatural strength, screaming so hard he cracks his own teeth around the leather gag. He locks eyes with you, his pupils blown wide with unimaginable agony, silently begging for mercy. You do not look away. You do not flinch. To survive this job, you must learn to completely detach your soul from your body. You build a cold, iron fortress in your mind. You stop seeing these men as your brothers or as human beings. You realize the dark, cynical truth of your profession. You are just a maintenance worker for the emperor's meat grinder. You view these screaming, dying men exactly how a carpenter views bent nails or splintered wood, expendable, easily replaced materials. If they can be patched up, they are sent back to the shield wall to kill again. If they can't, they are tossed aside to die in the dirt. Level 4, the Enforcer Optio. 10 years have passed since you took the sacred oath in the dusty forum. Your body is a living map of pale, jagged scars. You have survived ambushes, sieges, and plagues that wiped out entire cohorts. Because you are ruthless, and because you are still breathing, you are promoted. You are now an Optio, the second in command of a century consisting of 80 men. With the promotion comes privilege. Your pay is multiplied. You get a larger tent, better rations, and you no longer have to dig the latrine trenches. But the Roman army is a machine of pure, calculated brutality, and your new rank requires you to become one of its most unfeeling gears. You no longer stand in the front row of the shield wall, taking the brunt of the enemy's chaotic charge. Instead, you stand at the very back of the formation. Your primary tool of war is no longer a sword. It is a has-tile, a heavy, 5-foot wooden staff with a weighted metal knob on the end. You are fighting Celtic warriors in the dense, freezing forests of Britannia. The enemy crashes into your front line with terrifying ferocity. The noise is agonizing, metal tearing through flesh, men screaming for their gods, the deafening crunch of wooden shields splintering under heavy axes. Suddenly, the line begins to buckle. A young tyro, a raw recruit who has been in the Legion for less than a month, panics. He is 17 years old, pale, and terrified. He looks exactly like you did a decade ago. Overwhelmed by the horror, he drops his heavy scutum in the mud. He turns his back to the enemy and tries to run away. By Roman military law, a gap in the shield wall means the enemy will pour through and slaughter your entire century. You do not hesitate. You do not feel pity. You step forward, raise your heavy wooden staff, and swing it with all your strength. The weighted metal knob smashes into the recruit's shoulder and helmet. The sickening crack of the impact cuts through the noise of the battle. He falls into the mud, dazed, coughing up rainwater and blood. You grab him by the leather straps of his armor, your face inches from his, and physically hurl him back into the meat grinder. You scream at him to pick up his sword and hold the line, or you will bludgeon him to death yourself. He scrambles back to his feet, weeping openly, and steps back into the slaughter. As you stand behind the men, watching the young boy fight for his life, a cold, cynical realization settles into your stomach. You rationalize your actions by telling yourself that strict military discipline is the only thing keeping you all alive. But the truth is much darker. You are no longer just a desperate boy trying to survive the system. You are the one enforcing it. You are the one feeding fresh meat into the Emperor's jaws. The transformation is complete. You have become the exact monster you used to fear. Level 5, the Commander, Centurion. 15 years of blood, mud, and unwavering loyalty have finally pushed you to the elite tier of the Roman war machine. You are now a Centurion. You command a full century of 80 men. Your pay is now at least 15 times that of a standard miles. You wear a silvered breastplate and a heavy iron helmet adorned with a transverse horsehair crest, dyed a brilliant, unmistakable red, so every man on the battlefield can spot you in the chaos. In your right hand, you carry the ultimate symbol of your authority, the vitus, a gnarled, heavy staff carved from a grapevine.